Merry Meet, and welcome to episode 105 of the Heart of the Witch's Path podcast. I'm your co-host, Helen.
And I'm Kathy.
And today we're here to talk to you about the next Sabbath.
Ostara.
Ostara is a time of
spring and of balance because it is the equinox.
Right.
It's a time of planting and of spring. New beginning, growth.
Right. And so our coven will be having our Ostara ritual next weekend.
Yes, it's early, but it's the way our schedules work out.
Right, that's how we planned it out for the year. And we're really excited to have everybody together again in circle, so that's going to be awesome.
And we're hoping that the snow is down enough so that we can do our full ritual.
Right.
Because part of our ritual involves, dancing outside.
Right. But we'll get to that a little bit later.
Right.
Yeah, a little bit later. Let's not push things. So let's start off by our correspondence section.
Absolutely.
Of the podcast. So there are, of course, lots of correspondences that one can use to get one ready for Ostara and for
any Sabbath.
Right.
And you can do a quick Google search, or you can pick up any number of books to find them. So we're not going to mention them all.
Right.
We're just going to mention a few.
Mm-hmm. So jasper and bloodstone are really great stones to use for Ostara. And I don't think we've really talked about this yet. I know I haven't done a blog posting, although I would like to. But a few years ago, Kathy and I came up with this really cool idea that we wanted to do necklaces.
To correspond to the different Sabbaths.
Right, for each of the Sabbaths. And so we actually used, I think it was red jasper and bloodstone.
I think so.
For those particular necklaces.
For that particular necklace.
Well, right, but we each made one.
Right.
That's what I meant. So anyhow, so we use those. I feel like I'm not sinking right now.
Dude, it's been a long week.
It is. Well, it's been a long day for us because let's just give a rundown before we go any further. Crystal, we love you, darling. It is now 6 o'clock, so it's a little bit later for us in recording. But we went down to our Coven sister's house today to help her organize her craft material. And so...
Right. And it's a drive to get down there.
Yeah. Mama worked us to the bone today. But we love her, so that's why we did it. So I think I'm just kind of tired, so bear with me if I'm like, murr.
Right.
So
back to the correspondences.
Now that y'all out there are going to understand why I'm a little flighty feeling. So anyhow, colors.
The colors for Ostara are green and yellow, but I think any spring color would work.
Yeah, any bright color,
Pastels.
Mm-hmm. Yummy. So symbols. Symbols, animals, things of that nature that correspond with Ostara are the four-leaf clover,
chicks,
eggs,
bunnies,
flowers,
robins,
any bird,
any bird, and a lot of different animals too. But we'll get into that into the food section.
Right. I think I'm remembering my necklace, and I think we do need to mention dragon because I'm pretty sure that
I think you're right. You're supposed to have a dragon.
Has my Tauren, the dragon on it.
Right.
Which, you know what? I think I need to fix that necklace because I think it broke. The closure broke. Crafty. So, we'll cover food a little bit later, but I think we should mention chocolate.
Oh, absolutely.
Chocolate and jelly beans. I think that's synonymous with this time. If you were raised in any kind of a Christian household and celebrated Easter, then you got a basket.
Right.
And chocolates were in it. So, but moving on, the goddess.
Any maiden goddess is good, but specifically Eoster or Ostara.
Ostara, the goddess.
Right.
And Persephone.
Right, because this is an important part of her transition from being in Hades to coming to the upper world.
Right.
So that, spring comes back when she comes back.
Right. In spring, the goddess is in her maiden form. as she journeys the wheel of the year. So gods.
The Green Man is a good one.
Mm-hmm. We personally call Aries in our ritual.
Right. And Cernunnos, or any horned god, is good. Any planting god or hunting god or horned god is good for Ostara.
Any god that's in his prime.
Right.
Because that's kind of what we're going into.
Right.
Because we all know what's around the corner.
Oh, we do.
Beltane! So anyhow, then the last thing to talk about is incense. Jasmine is a good incense to use for ritual or, prepping yourself for that Ostara season.
Right. Sage is a good overall incense, but specifically also for Ostara.
And cinnamon. That's another good incense.
And of course, there's a lot of other things that you can use. Again, a quick Google search or pick up one of the books. Specifically, Edain McCoy's Ostara book, put out by Llewellyn, I believe, as part of their series of the Sabbath books, has a couple of things in there that you can refer to.
And I will, of course, link the book on Amazon if you haven't picked up this book. This is actually part of that series. Llewellyn did a series it's been a while.
It's been a while.
But they put out a book for each of the 8 Sabbats. And so this is the big Ostara book.
2003.
2003.
Right.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And that is chock full of good information. So we highly recommend that entire series. And I think they're still in print. Well, I'll look on Amazon, and if I can find it.
Amazon does sell used, or eBay.
Right. So highly recommend that. So definitely check that out.
And then Helen has an incense recipe and incantation that she's also going to put on her blog or on the
description box. So if you want to make your own incense, it looks like it's a pretty easy recipe. I mean, it's rosebuds and jasmine and lavender, vervain, myrrh, and frankincense. So it's a pretty easy recipe to follow. So that pretty much covers correspondences.
And incense.
So if you're like us, we are a crafty coven. We like to do crafts together. We like to make crafts a part of our rituals. And so we did some looking for crafts to do for Ostara specifically. And a lot of times what we will do is we'll gather pine cones, because Kathy has a couple of pine trees.
Yeah, like 30.
A couple in her yard. So she usually has a plethora of cones.
Although there's snow on the ground this year, I'm not sure we're doing that one for ritual.
But we'll usually send the children or child out, and she will gather some pine cones, and we'll spread that with peanut butter and roll it in bird seed, and we usually do enough so that each coven member has one to leave on the trees here and one to take home. And so you put that out, and that way the birds and the
because it's still hard for them to find food.
Right.
I mean, the snow is melting, but not everything's growing yet.
Right.
So we want to make sure that they have something to sustain them until the actual natural food starts growing.
Exactly. So that's a common craft that we'll do a lot. But some other ideas for crafts are...
well, we actually found a really interesting one this year that I think we're going to do this year, where you take larger flat rocks, and you paint designs on them. I saw several with the Triskelay. There were some with a goddess painted on them, or flowers. And I think that's what we're going to end up doing this year on Ritual. This year's mine turned to lead Ostara, so I think that's what we're going to do.
And I think something like that would be really pretty to display on your altar for the season and stuff like that.
I actually plan on taking mine to work and putting it on my desk.
Oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah, so another idea... we hit Pinterest. I'm not going to lie. I'm a Pinterest junkie. But we saw a really cute idea where people were taking eggshells. So like when you crack your egg open, because we all know that eggs are very popular for Ostara.
Absolutely.
But you kind of, do it carefully so that you have a decent
deep well.
Right, left of the egg, clean that out really well, and it looks like people are making candles in these eggshells. And it looked super easy because, one, it looked like there was some wax in it,
right,
and then they took a birthday candle.
Right,
popped
and that was the wick, and then you're done.
That looks really cute. I think that's something to definitely keep in mind that we can do
in the future, right?
Exactly. Right. Another idea is the string eggs,
which is you take a smallish balloon and you tie it. You blow it up. You tie it really well, and then you take a starchy liquid starch and you dip.
Yarn or
floss,
string or
embroidery floss in it, and then you wrap it around this balloon, and then you let it dry, and pop the balloon, and there you have a really nice lacy egg.
And I think you would want to use like the. Cause you could do them big,
right.
But if you wanted small ones, you could get those water balloons. I think that would be like the perfect size.
And they're just coming out with that kind of stuff right now,
exactly.
Because it's the season of getting into that.
Right, and so it's just a really cute little project.
Right,
and you could do some of those up and maybe hang them out in the trees for decoration or something like that.
Or you could have a tree in your house,
right?
Or you could put them in a bowl,
right?
And you put them on your altar,
yeah, something like that. And if you put them outside, and if it's going to rain and stuff like that, but if they get damaged, it's not like you put a lot of money into it,
right? And if it does rain, then the birds will take it away to use in their nests,
right? So it's kind of
win-win,
a recycling type project. Another one that I'm kind of excited to try this. When we were at Crystal's today, she found this goddess that she had made with salt dough. And she's like, we were kind of talking about it and the fact that she made it and all this kind of stuff. And we talked about doing it for our next Crafty Craft Day, which I really think we should.
Right.
But in looking for crafts for Ostara, I saw that pop up. I think people were making eggs, so you could do egg shape, you could do a goddess shape, you could do bunny shapes.
Right.
Because I saw a bunny shape with a pentacle drawn into the side of it.
Right.
So those are things, that salt dough I'm kind of interested in. I think that's something that we definitely want to play with.
Or you could do it with clay.
Yeah, if you wanted to do it with the Sculpey clay, and then, because the one thing that we didn't ask her is, okay, so what do you do with the salt dough? Do you bake it? I don't know. Do you?
I think it's similar to what you used to make for kids when they made crafting projects.
Okay.
And you don't do anything with it. You make it and it
dries and hardens, and
it's been a while since I had kids at home. So
young. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of check that out and see where we're at with that.
Right.
But so there's some ideas for crafts that you can try at home, and if you do try anything, please comment and let us know how it turned out, because we're totally interested, because we're crafty witches. I don't know if we mentioned that or not, but whatever. So moving on.
Right. We want to mention ritual preparation, but not go into detail, because that really is just a whole other podcast that we haven't gotten to yet.
Right.
But it is important before you do any kind of ritual or meditation that you ground and center yourself, that you spiritually cleanse your area and set up sacred space prior to doing ritual.
It's also really important that you prepare yourself, I feel. If you have a tub and if you can take a ritual bath, well, then do so.
You can do a ritual shower, too.
Ritual shower.
All you have to do is, think that you're doing this cleansing for ritual and have that intention. You don't even have to have a special soap or anything else. As long as your intention is to do that, then that's the important step. But you could also have a special soap that you use only for ritual.
Yeah, I had a bar. I would actually like to make some more ritual soap. Something that I just use, because for me, I know that my day generally starts with a shower, as most people do. And so if I know that I'm going to do ritual that day, and I have that soap that I use just for ritual, and I just I start my day with that, and I start putting myself in the mindset for ritual, it continues on throughout the whole day until we actually get to ritual and stuff like that. And I find it kind of helpful. So that's definitely something we need to remember that.
Crafty Craft Day.
Crafty Craft Day. We need to make some ritual soap.
Right.
It's time.
So again, the full discussion about preparation for ritual is long enough for us to do a special podcast for it, and I believe that's on the list for future.
Yes.
So as far as what we do for ritual, because this is a spring ritual, we like to call in the spring. Well, first we do a reading, because what is the book? The Spring Equinox by Ellen Jackson is a child's book for the equinox, and
it talks about.
Don't let that stop you from reading it if you're an adult, because it is an awesome resource. This is Nala, who's decided to join us. She's kind of noisy. So we do a reading about is it a robin that gets turned into a bunny? It's a bird. A bird gets turned into a bunny.
It's a bunny that gets turned into a bird.
No, the bird gets turned into a bunny, because then it's sad.
Because they can't fly.
Because it's sad.
Oh, it's time for that story again.
I know.
It's so good.
Next weekend. So we do that reading. We do a manifesting of intentions, which is generally done by writing something down on a slip of paper and burning it.
And we have our craft, and then we do our dance of Persephone.
Yes. We take our maiden and we put a veil over her, and she leads the dance.
Yes.
And we make sure that we have a lot of bells and rattles, and we make all kinds of noise, because we're calling spring to us.
Yeah. Oh, and boy, do we need to call spring.
Oh, God, we do.
If you're in like the Midwest or the East Coast and you're listening to this, you know what we're talking about.
The northern parts, because snow, cold, nasty this year.
We've had a pretty tough winter, and we are ready for spring.
And if it gets warm enough, we always take that dance outside.
Because, of course, that just calls the maiden even more.
Because generally for this ritual, it's not really warm enough to actually do the ritual outside.
Right.
But we dance it outside.
Right.
And it is awesome, and we love it, and it is just so much fun. And
so we actually have, like, everybody brings, like, little anklets and bracelets that have bells on it and stuff like that. We have rattles. And we have our rattle, which you have a new rattle. I have a new rattle,
I do, that I bought at Convocation.
Oh!
I do. It's made from a turtle shell, and it is just so awesome. I love it.
That's awesome.
And it'll be my first real chance. Well, I used it in a spell the other day, but it'll be my first real chance to
I was going to say, did you get a chance to consecrate it and all that good stuff?
I did. I had awesome. It was really, really moving, and hopefully my spell will work really well. So
excellent.
I won't get into that because that's a little personal. But anyway,
so that's how we celebrate, basically.
Right, and then of course we feast.
Right. Yes. So that brings us to food. I mean,
feasting.
Well, no, wait. Before we get to feasting,
oh, right, divination.
You have a special thing to talk about.
I have a special thing to talk about, which I had no idea about before I read this book on Ostara by Edain McCoy. Apparently, aside from bunnies being very lucky and magical, and it's apparently them living on your property is a kind of a blessing, which makes me happy because we have a lot of bunnies on our property, and I'm sure it makes our coven sister Joy happy too because she has a bunny. But apparently, you can use bunnies in divination. And the most common way to do this is to watch their movements and do a simple yes or no. If they move to the right, then it's a yes. If they move to the left, then it's a no. If they move kind of hesitantly, then more information might be needed. If they're very quick, then it's a decisive yes or no. I also found something about taking bunny hair and tying it to your pendulum for use when you do pendulum divination.
Now, is that to just enhance it, or?
The book doesn't really say.
And is that only for the Ostara season?
No, apparently it's very lucky to be used at any time.
Oh, interesting.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. Oh, another craft that we did not talk about is the Hanagar.
Oh, the Hanagar.
Oh, we got to talk about the Hanagar. So, traditionally, if you're in any kind of... Okay, my grandparents were from Kentucky. Okay, and I'm going to say that. But traditionally, in a lot of those backwoods places, you do a spring cleansing, and you do this with some kind of tonic that Grandma makes, and
for your body,
feeds everybody to help cleanse your body and clear and make sure that you're healthy for the coming year. And it's referenced a lot when I guess they did something on who's the people that went to Beverly Hills.
Oh, the Beverly Hillbillies?
Thank you. It's been a long day for me, too. But anyway, so there's this honegar that you make with equal parts raw honey and apple cider vinegar. And you don't want to make too much because it's only good for a moonstone. You make it on the full moon. Mm-hmm. And what you do is you boil the vinegar and the honey until the honey really mixes very well. It thins and mixes well with the vinegar. And then you can it like you would any canning thing. And you keep it in the refrigerator. And you use this stuff for a moon. You take, I guess, a teaspoon or two a day or a week. And you use it through that moon's turn, and then by the time the next full moon comes around, you discard whatever's left. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to help keep you healthy. Which I was thinking, we made that Four Thieves vinegar, mm-hmm. which is made from apple cider vinegar. If you mixed that with honey, I bet that would be extra cleansing.
Oh, right, yeah.
And more tasty than just the Four Thieves vinegar by itself. Dude, I'm telling you, that made me not get very sick.
Yeah, Kathy was starting to get sick, and she took a couple of teaspoons of it. So when and she didn't get sick. So when I got sick last time, she said, "Oh, you should try this." And so I tried it, and I nearly died. It was so gross.
And I just didn't do it just one day either. I did it 3 or 4 days in a row.
I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, it was kind of nasty, but I managed.
Ugh.
And I didn't get as sick as I usually get during the winter.
That's funny.
So that was part of the crafts. Where were we at? Divination.
We're at food.
Oh, we're at food. Okay. And if Nala would get off my notebook, we would be able to talk about it a little more.
So, foods for your Ostara feast. Eggs are a big...
Anything made with eggs.
Right.
Quiche.
Which is what we're going to have this year.
We're going to have this year.
I guess I'm making quiche.
You're making quiche.
All right, good job.
Eggnog would be good too. Just any egg dish, any dairy dish, but especially those made from like goat milk and lamb milk, like goat cheese. Apparently, it's supposed to be more auspicious for this than just regular cheese. Mm-hmm. Of course, lamb, if you chose to eat lamb.
Mm-hmm. And edible flowers are always good for Ostara.
Absolutely.
And hot cross buns.
Hot cross buns.
I've heard of them. They're in a child's nursery rhyme.
Yes, they are. Hot cross buns.
Hot cross buns.
It is the equal armed cross that is the image of the hot cross buns. They are now associated with the Christian holidays, but they really started as a pagan thing. So... we need to reclaim that part of our history. And I think a couple of years ago I made hot cross bread.
Thought maybe you did?
We have a lot of difficulties making any kind of yeast product bread because, we kill the yeast.
And there is a recipe for hot cross buns in that Ostara book.
Yes, right here. On page 58.
Yeah.
But again, it has yeast. And I think this is the recipe I used. And it turned out okay because I'm learning how to not kill my yeast. But it's not an easy thing.
Right. And spring greens are a good thing to have as well. So I think we're going to do quiche. Well, you probably haven't talked to anybody.
I have not.
Usually we have quiche and like a salad.
Which
spring mix.
Another of our Coven sisters makes. And she usually puts fruit in it, which any early season fruit, here in Michigan, there's no fruit at this time of year. We don't have strawberries unless it's shipped up from Florida. But that type of thing, depending on where you're at, any early season fruits and vegetables that might be available in your area. Mm-hmm. That's all I had.
Okay.
Edible flowers, we talked about those, right?
We talked about edible flowers.
And there are tons of recipes out there for edible flowers. Mm-hmm. I believe
nasturtiums are edible, I believe.
I believe that when we were at Crystal's helping her go through her books today, there was a whole book on edible flowers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's quite a few. Yeah.
And I think we've made lavender cookies before.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think somebody has.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was. but
she who must not be named.
So, that's all that we have for Ostara. And again, I will link the book in the description box, and I will share the recipe that I have for an Ostara incense. And I think that's it. So we want to thank you once again for taking the time to listen to us. Please comment. Let us know that you're out there and that you're listening to us, and
if there's something that you want to hear about or something that we didn't talk enough about, let us know, and we can always do a future podcast and talk more about other things.
Right. And feel free to drop me an email. I'll put an email address in the description box, and maybe if we get some emails, we'll share those things on upcoming podcasts.
Bad kitty, sorry.
So once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Episode 105. I'm so excited to see us at this point.
Right.
I think we're doing really well. Right. So thank you for walking along the path for a little while with us. And until next time, blessed be.
Blessed be.